So I'm reading a book right now. It's called The Courage to be Disliked. It's a Japanese philosopher, and that basically tries to talk about many different topics that I care about a lot: comparison with others, and the complex of inferiority, complex of superiority, how to decide, being lonely, and all these things. And it's basically a book that is a youth that talks and has a dialogue with this philosopher, and they talk about all these topics, and this philosopher talks about it through a psychoanalysis way of Adler psychology, which is kind of, in a way, the antithesis of Freud. And it's not the actual antithesis, but it's a different version of the usual psychoanalysis that we have. And in my opinion, it's a very spiritual type of psychology. I didn't know about Adler. I actually studied philosophy. I studied communication, but I didn't know about Adler that much. But this book is helping me a lot and has helped me a lot. And one thing that made me understand, and then all sorts of different kinds of topics, is understanding the fact on how to be with others. Why? Because Adler basically says that all of our problems come from interpersonal relationships. And this youth that is trying to argue and have this dialogue with this philosopher is trying to say there's no way that all problems that we have are based on interpersonal relationships. But then the philosopher keeps talking about it and makes him understand what it means. And actually, if you think about it, that's kind of true. I mean, there are two types of suffering. There is the physical suffering and there is the mental suffering. It's not pain, it's suffering. So you kind of create it for yourself, and you say, okay, but what if I'm completely alone? Would I still be suffering because of loneliness? And it says, no, it's a paradox, because you need other people to be lonely. You need you need to be it's actually people that feel the loneliness. They are the people that are surrounded by a lot of people, a lot of friends or others, but they feel excluded, or they don't feel a part of this community. They feel kind of separated from it. And so loneliness is the incubation for depression and many of these chronic diseases that we have. And so it goes on talking about on how to be with other people, how to be happy. It talks about why comparing yourself to others, feeling inferiority, feeling superiority, feeling these things, they're actually a catalyst on why you feel so bad, or why you cannot have these kind of connections with people. It creates a way to explain you why competition in life is today, because it's exaggerated, not kind of a good thing. And so how to live with others. And it explains many different things, from presence, from being present, many different things. But one thing that stuck with me in my mind is this thing that is, if you want to be happy, you need to separate tasks. What it means? It means that you have your tasks, you have your thing. In yoga, we would say you have your own karma, your own responsibility of creating things for yourself, your own way of responding to life outside of you. But other people have their own, so you cannot interfere with them. It always talks about this thing in the book. It says you can bring a horse to the river, but you cannot force him to drink. So the whole problem with other people, which causes all other problems within you, is to have this tension of how you want them to be for you and the way they truly are with you. So it's kind of the Buddhist teaching of don't expect anything from other people, don't expect anything, have no expectations. The person that wants nothing is wanted by everything. It's kind of the same thing, but it's explained in a psychological way. It means that everything is about separation of tasks and not interfering with the task of another. Even simply wanting to be liked or loved by others. It's not your task. Of course, you do not act crazy and don't want to be liked by others, but the fact of freedom is having the courage to be disliked by others, because being liked or disliked by others, it's not your task. You can do anything you want, but you have not the power or the control on what other people do in their own life. So this kind of learning to understand your limits, your possibilities, and the way that you can actually work on yourself, on your way of exposing yourself internally, externally, etc. But at the same time, you have no control on other things. You can only learn to respond in a certain way. And so this means being liked by others or being in a competition. Instead of being in this competition, learning to understand that everyone is a comrade, everyone is kind of a child for you, everyone is in your same team. And I understood it before reading the book, in my personal experience, that if I thought, I always had this feeling of comparison with others because of fearing of making choices, but I understood that if I think as everyone else, as part of my team, because there's no competition in life, this anxiety really comes down. And so also understanding this fear of choice, this book made me understand a lot of that. It's about learning to see that you actually want something, even for example, I want something, but you are creating this circumstance of not going there because you truly do not want that thing. You feel better here. It's kind of understanding that yes, you want to go there, your soul wants to go there, everything wants to go there, but you prefer your brain, because your body is based on survival. Your brain doesn't want you to get there because it prefers a familiar hell instead of an unfamiliar heaven. It's kind of understanding that I want to go there, but if I'm not there yet, it's not because I don't know. It's all the excuses that I'm making. They're actually a way for me to reach the goal of my brain that it's not getting there, because I don't know how the situation is there, but I know this situation pretty well. And even if it's not good enough for me, I'm safe here. So I prefer to be safe. And so the whole psychoanalysis of Adler is about courage, the courage to be disliked, the courage to go and move through to your goals, is having better goals. For example, it makes this example of this girl that went to the psychologist and says, I want to go and say to this guy that I like him. But the problem is that my cheeks turns red every time. So how can I get rid of this problem so that I can go to him and say that I like him? And after a while, they understood that the cheeks that go red, the blushing, are not the problem. They are the goal. Because the goal is actually to not go there, because it's easier to stay here and just like him from here. It's safer and it's better for her, instead of going there and risking that he doesn't like her or other things, being vulnerable. So the blushing becomes a way, she needed a way to not go there and do that. So she created these kind of symptoms for yourself that in this way are physical, blushing, but for other people it can be also mental, or it depends, or emotional, to not go there. So it's all about having courage. So it's courage, the seeing everyone as comrades, and separation of tasks. And another thing is about this comparison and this being disliked by others. It's also understanding that once you feel bad, it's also because you feel inferior to others. When you compare to others, it's because you feel this feeling of inferiority. The problem is, yes, inferiority is actually not a bad thing. The problem is, once we had a mind, we started to develop this thinking mind, this feeling of inferiority was a good thing in terms of I see my neighbor doing better things for his survival, so I compare myself to him, and so I want to do better, so it's a matter of growth, it's a motivation. The problem is that now with this social media, with this world, we compare, it's an excessive comparison, because we compare ourselves to the highlights of everyone around you in the world. So it doesn't make you feel good. It becomes, instead of a motivation to go on and change, it becomes a complex of inferiority. It means it makes you stick to this position, because as I said before, it's better to stay here and safe instead of being vulnerable and go there and try and risk. So once you understand this pattern within your mind, you understand many different things on why you are not happy. Actually, some people even create this victim mentality, this complex that even goes further and becomes a complex of superiority, which means they create an identity for themselves that becomes like a victim. They put themselves on a pedestal saying positive or negative things. For example, even negative things. For example, oh yeah, I see him that he does so great successes, he has so many achievements, he does everything. But instead of comparing myself to him and say, I want to be there and also make some steps to be a bit better for him and goes in a better direction, no, this actually makes me, it stops me, and it makes my morale go even lower down. Why? Because I see him, and with this complex of superiority, I say, yes, but I didn't do his school. He's special, he has this talent, he's not like me, we are different things. So I always put myself on a pedestal and say, yes, but I'm like this, I had this thing that happened, I had this trauma, I had this thing. So you create yourself a special cocoon in which you do not want to go out of. And so how to do it is just a matter of understanding to have the courage to choose and move through that. In yoga, it's understanding that your mind does one thing, but you do not always have to listen to your mind, because your mind wants survival for you. But sometimes survival and risking, risking is sometimes a bad option, even because some problems probably are just created by the mind. They're not even there. That's what anxiety and depression kind of are fundamentally. So instead of being like Freud's psychoanalysis, based on the past, based on I had this trauma and so now I'm working on it, it's based on the future. It's not fatalistic. It's, okay, I had these things, doesn't matter what I have now, why I have this, understanding what's the hidden goal, what's the hidden benefit of my mind, what is my brain trying to protect me from by making this choice. Understanding the thought process, by understanding how you respond with your thought to a circumstance, you can understand that your thoughts creates emotions, your emotions creates actions, and your actions create a result. And so if the results are not what you want yet, you need to change the way you respond to things with your thoughts first. Understanding why your mind is making you not choose that thing, even if you think you are choosing that thing. All the excuses you're creating, all the narrative you're creating probably maybe are just these problems. So it's just about interpersonal relationships, all because of other people are doing things. Because if there would not be other people, you would be there and say, you don't compare yourself to others. So that's the thing. So as I read here, separate tasks and don't seek recognition. Be at the right distance. What another person thinks of you, if they like you or dislike you, is that person's task, not mine. So that's it. Let me know what you think. What do you think about this? Subscribe, and thanks guys for watching.